And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
You know, a lot of people worked really hard on this movie.
Oh wait, Sean has the budget. I'm going to pause your opinion, Mike. Sean, give it to us.
Oh, I didn't know we could pause Mike's opinion.
Yeah.
Now that I know.
Finally, Sean discovers the secret of Is It a Bicycle?
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle, Season 10, Episode 6, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me, I have a man who spent most of last night looking for another word for synonym. It's Mike McDonough. Also beside me, I have a lady who says the one thing she doesn't want to find in her stockings on Christmas morning is her husband. It's Sean. I love Canada. Live from Vegas, we have a man who says that sometimes the people who hurt us most are those that are really mad at us and good at boxing. It's Sean Leonard. And in the red corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who wishes his fitness app would lower its expectations. It's Mark, superhero Leonard. This week we'll be discussing some movies in the shape of Point Break and Trumbo, and some TV in the form of Horace and Pete. Of course, we'll have the usuals with the news and some previews, and come to a bicycle near you. How's everyone?
Hi guys.
Pretty good,
Fantastic,
Steve. Pretty good. It's Pancake Tuesday here in Ireland, and
Woohoo!
possibly around the world.
Pancakes.
Indeed.
Or for those of you in North America, Crepe Tuesday.
Oh, correct.
Do they actually call it that? The Crap Tuesday?
No, they
No,
call
so
it
they call
Pancake
pancakes.
Tuesday. But I got very confused when I moved to Ireland that people talked about pancakes and it would be on a menu and I'd order it and then crepes would come. And I got very confused that...
Did you do it more than once?
I did, like, several times. And
Is there
even-
not a difference between crepes and pancakes? Something about thickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American pancake is fluffy and absorbs maple syrup, whereas the crepe is flat
bread.
and is more like an encasement for the filling goodness.
For said maple syrup.
Yeah.
I like it.
Or ham and cheese.
Or
Very
ham.
nice.
Well, see, tonight I did reverse order. I had a Nutella crepe, and then I had about 2 jam, lemon, and sugar crepes. Then I finished with a ham and cheese crepe because I live on the edge
Weird.
of that.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
But nice though. So my son Avery had his first taste of pancake today.
Ooh,
How
how
was
did
that?
that go?
Fair only. I made a crucial mistake. I left the Liga box in his line of sight while I was trying to get him to eat pancake.
He was like, "Fuck you, Dad. Give me the cookie."
Completely. So I showed him a strip of pancake going, this could be yours, son. And that usually gets him. I think at that point I may have been blocking the Liga. Liga is a kid's biscuit over here. I don't know if it's a world phenomenon. But it's like rusks, if that is indeed a word phenomenon.
It's far
Anyway.
better than any rusk.
Anyway, so then he was he was up for that. He did the whole which I presume means, could I have some of that? It looks tasty. So I broke off a bit and shoved it into him because you can't be given a big strip of pancake, he'd just choke. And fun as the Heimlich might be on an adult, it's less so on a kid.
Yeah.
So I gave him a bit, he liked it, he ate it. At this stage, I reckon he could see the Liga. Because he started making noises, which in baby translate, I reckon mean, Dad, fuck off with this pancake and give me some Liga goodness. So I tried him another bit, and then he does this funny thing when he tries to spit something out. He makes puke-like noises, which does nothing to move the food. So he goes, bah, bah, which doesn't do anything. It just lets me know that he doesn't want it. Anyway, he managed to maneuver it out of his mouth and took no more pancakes. So I gave him a Liga and ate the pancake that was destined for him.
Well done, Mark.
So it's win-win, I think. He got what he wanted. I got what I wanted.
And what's your pancake topping of choice?
Nutella or golden syrup?
Golden syrup. It disgusts
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Preference is probably golden syrup, I would say.
Not even maple syrup, but like the shitty ass corn syrup.
Irish.
Golden syrup.
Irish. Sorry, Shauna. Irish.
Sean is eating, I'm presuming, pancakes and just nodding furiously over the video. So, Sean, you'll have to translate what all of your gestures mean later once you've eaten.
Well, he came from the same house as
know.
me, so maple syrup wouldn't have been seen in a God-fearing house in this country for a long time.
Yeah, do you know when I first started dating my husband 10 years ago, and I went down to their house, and like his sister, I think, because me being Canadian, was like, "Oh, we'll have pancakes for breakfast," or something, French toast, I think it was. And they pulled out the maple syrup, and I'm saying maple syrup now. What's this called?
Inverted commas.
Inverted commas,
commas. And it was golden syrup, and I had to hide my disgust. And instead, I went to the supermarket and bought a €7 like bottle of maple syrup because I'm like, this is what you eat this with. I cannot with maple golden syrup. It's disgusting.
No, I can do pancakes with golden syrup because that's the way we were reared. But for French toast and the like, I would defer to maple, or I prefer that.
I think my Canadian equivalent is that I would eat Aunt Jemima maple syrup. which Sean might have gotten. Sean, I assume you've had Aunt Jemima? Yeah. Aunt Jemima was kind of like our golden syrup.
We kind of need you to cook for us. Who was it that wanted to do quinoa flour pancakes? What hippie tree-hugging motherfucker wanted to put quinoa on a pancake?
I'd put quinoa on coffee if I could. Absolutely love it.
God. Yeah. Like, I eat quinoa. There's good reasons to eat it, but don't be ruining pancakes with it.
Listen, I saw a recipe. I was looking up a few recipes for like healthier alternatives, and so I saw that this
like
is a
apple.
recipe that exists.
Or a carrot. There's two straight off the top of my head.
Nice work, Steve. You should have a food column.
Anyways, yeah, it didn't happen. The baby decided she was tired way earlier than I was prepared to amass my ingredients and look up the internet. So it was more like, the baby's crying, let's make dinner and eat it quickly before I have to go upstairs and spend the next hour putting her to bed. So we did pancakes the right way. Don't you worry, Mark.
I was asked by my 7-year-old this evening what the difference was between pancakes with all the, what do you call it, crepe. What do you call it, the type of pancake when it's not sugary? It is savoury. Yeah, savoury. So he's like, what's the difference between savoury and pizza? I said, size for a start, usually, and, and then I said, just tomato sauce and blah, blah, blah. And he's going, yeah. Do you like pizza? Yeah, I do like pizza. And what's your favourite pizza? And I said, kind of like Domino's. So he goes, Domino's? Like the ones who sponsored a big movie? I was like, exactly that. But where did you get it? And I said, you can get it anywhere. There's one here in the city. He's going, what? And then I explained the concept.
Mind blown.
I know. Well, that's the thing. So he was asking me about this, and then I explained the concept of franchise, and completely blew his mind. He's like, "You mean like McDonald's and Supermax and Subway?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's it." Wow. It's funny. Anyway, 7-year-olds. That was the anecdote section.
Anecdote section over.
It's good that we have one.
Yeah. Tell us about Grindr, Mark. You watching it this
does
week?
everybody know that Timothy Oliphant is in Grindr now?
No.
Oh, fuck, man. You gotta watch it. I put this on the things we talk about after the anecdote section so that I could tell you about it. So he appears on the beach giving Grindr advice where he says justified, very obviously, just to get the plug in. And then he replaces Grindr on the show. He's Grindr's brother who takes over, grinding harder. But it's brilliant. When I saw him, I said, oh man, I love this guy. I hope he's a regular on the show. Now that's as far as I've watched. I don't know how much further it goes. Does he stick around, Sean?
So I've watched a few episodes past, and as far as I can tell, he's a series regular, although I don't know how certain that'll be going forward. But he's in a lot. So he's in a good few episodes, and I agree. He's very funny. So he's in a good few going forward. I don't know if that will continue.
Cool, I hope it does. Grindr is by far the funniest show I've seen in a while. Like, it is as funny as Modern Family was when it came out first.
Oh wow, that's Rob Lowe's in that, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is the Grinder.
The Grinder. And what is the Grinder?
He grinds.
Grinds like up on women, or grinds
No.
pepper?
Well, there is that double entendre. But he's a lawyer.
Dude.
Basically, his brother is Kevin Arnold from The Wonder Years, and grown up Kevin Arnold, but he looks the same. And he was an actor in a procedural lawyer show like Suits or something like that, right? But it's much more hammy. And when he comes off the show and tries to become a regular member of society, his brother is a real lawyer, so he feels like he's eminently qualified to do that job. So he turns up, starts living with his brother, and starts working with them for no reason other than he's the grinder.
Okay.
And he treats every situation in real life like it was a scene in his TV show. So the formula is, at the start we see a clip from an episode of The Grinder, then they work that into whatever's happening in the regular lives that week. And it's so funny. Rob Lowe he's gifted. He is absolutely gifted at that kind of humor. And especially if you know him from other stuff. Like I had to suffer through Brothers and Sisters for many years with him in it. And if you know him from his serious stuff, you just see him doing this and it's brilliant. And everybody takes him seriously, and there's no reason to at all, except for one girl in the practice who, of course, he must have now. And, and he'll say something, isn't this true? And she'd be like, no, of course it isn't. And he'd be like, but what you really mean is it is. And there's lots of stuff like that. It's so good.
I
so
might have
good.
to give it a watch.
Who's watching Banshee Chapter 2013?
I was.
What's that?
What was that about, Mike? What, 2013, the year?
No, that was when it was made. I just put that in because I'm a bit fucking anally retentive.
Anal.
Yeah.
So you can't do season and episode like they do on Netflix. You put in the year and expect other people to figure out what season and episode that is.
No, because it was a movie rather than a Netflix series.
Ooh. So it's nothing to do with Banshee, the Stars show. Is this? No, not Stars. Cinemax show.
Yeah. So just sit back, take a quiet moment to go fuck yourself, and then I'll tell you about the show.
I've already started.
This is I don't know if it is a B movie. It was made for $950,000, and I saw it late night on the horror show or on the horror channel. So it eminently qualifies to be a B movie.
Yeah.
And the basic story is you have CIA chemical experiments on citizens during the 60s and 70s. And bad things happen as a result.
Yeah.
And there are two young people who went to college together. And one of them decides to investigate this stuff with a view to writing a book about it. So he gets a sample of it, and it turns out to be really bad stuff. And there's things starting to go bump in the night and stuff. So he disappears, and then his friend from college, who just happens to be very pretty and only owns one item of clothing, which is a tight-fitting tank top. She starts to track down the story. Now, the wonderful thing about it is the acting. There's Ted Levine is in it, and Katya Williams, I think is her name. They just carry the show because they've no money, so basically they have to do everything with shadows and handycams and bullshit found footage and this kind of stuff. It's so fucking cheap ass you wouldn't believe.
Right.
But it works.
Oh, really?
Really well.
Yeah.
They've been very clever about it. And I was wondering, why is this so clever? And then I realized, I didn't realize, I just watched the credits at the end. The executive producer is Zachary Quinto.
Oh, wow.
So he doesn't just star in movies. He's
Not
now
just a pretty
making
face.
them. Yeah. As a B movie, it's fucking great. So
Is it still a B movie? It sounds like you're getting ready to promote it there.
Yeah, it's on the borderline between a really quality B movie and a kind of a straight to video offering.
So you're going to have to mark this out of 3 instead of 2?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, possibly. And it's a solid story. It keeps you engaged. You know, they got number stations and CIA thought experiments and illegal drugs and possibly aliens.
Boy needs.
You know, yeah. And it's just great. So I'll give this a highly recommended 3 out of 3 on the B movie extended scale.
Nice one.
Extended scale.
Now, guys, I know I missed last week, so I didn't get to weigh in on all the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But
did you have issues with it, Shona? Did we say something that might have stuck with you for the week?
not at all. Steve said that you missed me in the podcast, so
I'm glad you picked up on that.
yeah.
I had to edit that in afterwards.
Yeah, we had a discussion. We said, "Jesus, we better
From an
mention it."
episode 2 years ago where he actually said it.
Like, damn it, she's in
She might listen. We'll have to put in something else. Well, listen, it was sound editing. Well done. So The Good Wife. Last week I had it on my things I had seen that week, but we never got to talk about it because I wasn't here. Mm-hmm. And just as well that we wait until this week anyways, because there was some news dropped on it about during the Super Bowl that it's the last season.
Ah.
Dum, dum, dum.
Whose choice?
I think it was cancelled. I saw a headline today that said it was cancelled.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the interesting.
Did she get divorced in the end, or
does she stop being a good
yeah.
wife? Who knows?
She becomes a good nun or something.
Well, I'm only, I think, like 2 episodes into the season so far, and I think we're seeing them at the same rate as what's being shown in America. But it looks interesting so far. She's got some cop on. She's continuing down her road of being less naive. But as per last week's conversation, no one here is watching it, so I'll just say it was good.
I always wondered about The Good Wife. Is it kind of like House of Cards, only not as good.
I wouldn't say tonally they're in the same league at all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
House of Cards is brilliant kind of political thriller, and The Good Wife is like a soap opera based in politics.
Okay, right. So it's, I don't know, West Wing and 24.
For two shows I haven't seen, sure. Let's
Yeah.
say, let's say
Sure,
it's like
yeah.
that.
She said soap opera though, Mike. I feel like that is the key.
Yeah.
It's not all soap opera. Like some of the plot lines are political. There's a lot of political stuff in it too.
Oh, there are, but I mean soap opera just in terms of like it's really based heavily on the dramas and interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Do you see Legends of Tomorrow?
are you continuing to watch this?
Absolutely, I'm continuing to watch it. I'm
Okay,
sure
and-
Sean is as well.
Did
So
we-
I
did-
watched
did we
on
not say
two
fuck that
episodes
shit
2
ages
and
ago?
3.
I thought we did.
I'm up to date, so I don't know if that's 3 or 4. Anyway, I'm up to date, and it's starting to pay off on the promise. We're getting to know the characters all a bit better, as I'd hoped would happen. They're each getting their own featured episodes.
So
we're-
that's the way they did go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's exactly like Star Trek, right?
Okay, so we've got this pool of skills that we can pull from, depending on the issue this week. Is that the way it's working?
They kind of split the group into smaller groups and then feature somebody within each one.
Right,
You know,
okay, yeah.
and then there's a focus on somebody each episode.
Yeah.
There's been a death actually already, which is interesting.
Was
All
it
right.
tragic?
It was
cry
very
more?
tragic. It was a high tragedy. But a couple I think it was episode 2 and 3, there were these battles where everybody was fighting, and I was going, this is what it should look like, right? This is when you've got a superhero team. I can't say superheroes or supervillains because they're mixed, right? Just going at it with bad guys, quote unquote, because some of them were good guys. Because it's complicated, this show. And there's just like, you got Freezy Man shooting his gun, fire 2 guys, blasting fire, one big guy, blasting his fire gun.
Yeah.
Then you have Smart Time Man shooting his Smart Time Man gun.
Hang on a sec. Do they have 2 fire guys on one team?
Yeah, fire, 2 people, and then you have Fire Gun Man.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of firepower.
Well,
That's a lot of fire. Oh, I see what you did there, Mike.
you've also got the
Sean's face.
you've also got the lady with wings and the man with wings. My favorite characters.
Wingy Man and Wingy Boy.
Yeah.
Girl.
No.
Yeah.
Also, thanks, Sean. And all through this, we have Katie Lotz using each new time period to try on different period outfits,
Awesome.
Ooh,
which I think is
exciting.
an excellent use of her character. So it's just good. It's just good. Like, those action scenes are really well put together.
I would weigh in even further that it's very cleverly written from a standpoint of production, because they can film half of the show on this one set on the ship. As well as that means they can have multiple units filming at the same time. So you've got 3 characters on the ship having their storyline that can be filmed simultaneously while they're filming their away mission stuff with a different unit. So they're going to be able to do a lot of shit. Like, it's going to be really a lot of expanse, because anytime they need to save money, just have an episode on the ship. And what I would also like to point out,
Super ship.
super ship, time ship, feel free, everyone, to go back and check out our initial review of this, because I describe a scene, a plot line that happens the next episode.
Ah,
Do they
Pretty
follow
much
the
verbatim.
nice.
Do they follow the Star Trek tactics of, you know, an dangerous away mission sending the captain and the first officer of the ship directly into harm's way?
With a load of
They
dudes in red jumpers.
they kind of discuss who goes, like, what is our actual modus operandus going to be? Like, what are we actually going to do with these things? And of course, people go rogue because, you know, it's not Star Trek. It's 2016. They're not united by the Federation protocols. They're going to fuck shit up, even if there are things basically called time travel protocols, which they're definitely going to break. The world should have broken a few times by now, I think, probably.
And Wentworth Miller's character is getting the airtime he deserves. I think he's the best character in the show. It's so well acted. The way he talks and everything, he's really, really good. And they're starting to flesh out. They spend an episode fleshing out his character a lot, actually. And he just keeps doing this Ocean's 11 shit that's really, really good.
So is it because he is the best actor, do you think?
Or just the best looking?
Oh, you like him, do you?
Katie Lotz.
He's probably the best looking
Katie
guy
Loss
in
is
the
probably
show.
a better actress as well. Like,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
I disagree.
Well, I have a theory that she's a 7, but she acts like an 8.
I think Victor Garber, who plays Professor Stein, might in fact be the best actor on the show.
He's really good as well, yeah.
He's definitely
I totally
not a
loved him in Titanic.
Alias?
Right.
Alias. I'm into Alias.
Speaking of best actors on the show, I have to say, also a week late, I have also finished watching Jessica Jones. And, wow.
And happy?
It is intense. It took me like 3 or 4 days to get through that last episode. I had to keep pausing it and walking away. Yeah. Yeah. I was so tense because I'm like, this season is so dark. I'm afraid of what they're going to do in this finale, so I had to just keep pausing it. But
turning up.
I can't wait till Celeste's like 16 and going out for the night.
Bloody thing is waiting.
No, I'm too tense. Could you come home for like half an hour?
I know.
You kind of reminded me. Do you remember that episode of Friends when Joey was reading The Shining and he had to put it in the freezer?
Put it in the freezer.
Listen, if I could have parted my phone for an hour or two, it would have gone into the freezer. But no, I thought it was very good. And Kristen Ritter and
Kristen. Oh yeah.
Ritter and what's his
I thought it was a
name?
new character.
David Tennant.
Tennant. I was going to call him Carpenter. Yeah, David Tennant. They're both really good. And people keep saying that David Tennant's the standout actor of the show. I would give a lot to Kristen Ritter as well, though. It's fantastic. It's such a good show. And apparently you're already talking about this. I was going to say, I heard somewhere, but it was in this podcast from last week. about
Such an informative podcast.
Do you know, I learned so much from Mrs. Bicycle. I was interested to hear you say that there's potential crossover between Daredevil and Jessica Jones, because I would love that. Because I love Daredevil, and I can't wait to see the two worlds meet.
Question.
Definitively there will be.
Yeah!
Has she showered yet?
They're holding out on that one.
Well, Mike wants a shower scene, I know for a start, but I just wanted to see her a bit cleaner than she was.
That's going to be the season 2 cliffhanger.
Do you know who needs a shower, actually? In DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
The filth bags.
They should probably go to like a water park or something.
And then freeze it.
Oh yeah, that would be a great idea.
Also this week, Sean, I presume you're watching The Bowl That Is Super.
Oh, the superb owl. Yeah, let's get right down to it.
Yeah.
So the Super Bowl took place this past Sunday, but luckily they had commercials in between the people running around for no reason.
Thank God.
So I don't know, like as you mentioned, The Good Wife, there was some Super Bowl stuff happening. It's so expensive to have a commercial in the Super Bowl that there's so much effort put into all these things.
I heard 4.4 million was the going rate for a commercial in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I believe it.
How many seconds
Like,
is it?
A 30-second ad or
Really?
something.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay, that's a long time. Oh, okay.
Maybe it's less than that. I don't know. People use Google and figure it out. Maybe I'm wrong.
They put such effort and money and production values into all these commercials. Like they have one where Jeff Goldblum is trying to sell you a service that helps you find an apartment, which of course is going to require him to sit on a piano and play it while he is slowly, brought up on a winch up an entire skyscraper full of different styles of apartments while people like sing and shit.
I heard there's one about goats.
One about goats. I don't know.
Okay.
I have to be clear. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons throughout the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So I only got about half the commercials.
Did you see Bianca Dunk singing? Beyonce.
Oh, I did indeed.
Yeah.
So the halftime show of the Super Bowl was supposed to be Coldplay, and then apparently everyone went, "Do you know, maybe we could get some people that are better."
Interesting.
Relevant.
So everyone was really shitting on Coldplay, even though I do like Coldplay.
Yeah.
Fine. But Beyonce and Bruno Mars, and Mark Ronson, I believe, were there to back him up as well. They all sang together. It seemed like they were all having a great time, and it looked like it was a great show. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
More importantly, a new Civil War trailer dropped.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Tell us more.
So it happened.
So they've been holding back a lot. Like the first trailer, we got like the gist, right? Captain America has to choose between Bucky and between, maybe doing the legal thing or yada yada, and it looks like he's choosing Bucky. And then we get to see some consequences of that. This other one basically is just going, bucka ducka ducka boom, ducka boom, explosion, flying, fighting. And then Iron Man, who apparently is being filmed as if he's a monster at certain parts of this movie, gets to do that cool thing where he's like flies up an elevator shaft and then opens it with his like arms. And the only line of dialogue I remember, and maybe the only line of dialogue in this new trailer, is Iron Man ripping open those elevator doors and going, "You chose the wrong side." And then it just switches to group shots of the two sides, like Team Iron Man, Team Cap, across each other at what looks like it's about to be a final battle. And then it cuts to a series of hashtags. So it just lets you support whoever you want on either side, Team Cap, Team Iron Man.
I hope it's a dance-off.
Dude, hey, that's Iron Man 2. You're thinking of Iron Man 2 for that. What I'm really interested in is that they still haven't shown Spider-Man. Like, they're holding back a lot. They haven't shown any Tom Holland, any Spider-Man stuff as far as I can see, which means either there will be one last trailer like the day before the movie comes out where they'll reveal it, or they won't. And you'll have to see the fucking movie if you want to see Spider-Man. It's going to be a really interesting marketing campaign to follow.
So perhaps we won't see all the movie before we see the movie this time. Which would be fresh.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that now, Steve. I think you're being a little bit
fishy,
disingenuous.
What was the last Marvel movie? I felt like I'd seen the whole movie before.
Avengers: Rise of Ultron. You hadn't though.
It felt like it. There was. I know.
Ant-Man.
I know.
Mm-hmm. You're thinking of Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic Four.
Sean,
maybe.
Sorry, Sean.
Is it because they're all the same?
I hate to put you on the spot, Sean, but who won the Super Bowl?
It was the Denver
Broncos.
I thought I'd catch him.
The score was 14-7.
Scoring Super Bowl?
Maybe I got it. Maybe I just nailed it just there. Then
I don't think that was a score, was it?
No,
it was a 54-4 or 7 or something.
Peyton Manning retired. It's his last Super Bowl.
2014.
Well done, Sean.
Much like the last season of The Good Wife.
Did you win the Dungeons and Dragons though? That's
what really
that's
counts.
Going very well.
Yeah.
If you have fun, then you win. Steve, did you ever play Dungeons and Dragons?
When I was about 8, I think.
No way you'd appreciate it at 8. Did
No,
you ever play it as an
I was too
adult?
old
No?
when I was 9, I think.
I've never played it before. My brother and his friends used to play it in our house, but I never got invited.
I used to play with my brother and my friends, and Sean used to watch.
Dungeons and Dragons, and there was another one as well. I can't remember.
Because he was 8 or 9.
and therefore not qualified to make a judgment on how
Not
good a game it was.
qualified to play.
Yeah.
A little underdeveloped, I think, maybe.
Tried to start a group. I started to create a group of Dungeons and Dragons people with neighbours. And it turned out that one of the guys that lived near me was a bit of a Jesus person. And he got a notion that Dungeons and Dragons was satanic. And
Probably
he
true.
started like asking my mom and dad questions about what was going on with Mark these days, because I was asking his son to play like.
Yeah.
And it became this really big thing where they thought that like I was into the devil. And I was saying, no, man, I don't believe in either of those fools. Which, needless to say, didn't help my case.
Yeah.
But anyway, his son never played Dungeons and Dragons. I played with people whose dads weren't Jesus people.
My faith is in our good Lord Vader.
Well, that's it. Like,
Actually, I did, not too dissimilar, but it was the other way. My dad thought I was looking to join the Brotherhood or something because I was listening to Enigma. Do you remember Enigma? Enigma always had a backing
Is
track.
that Return to Innocence?
Yeah.
that's the song.
That's right.
That was going through my head as well.
Yeah,
Actually.
and I remember him
Make
asking
me
me
up.
about it, and he really had this worried look on his face, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? You know,
Yeah.
Steve, seriously.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, I digress. Okay, let's go to the news. So there was a bit of a court case this week.
Yes.
I'd say there was several.
There was one in particular that kind of hit the news.
Would it be relevant to our podcast in film and television?
Yes, it would.
Well, then which court case was this?
This was the court case about a certain guy, Mr. Pearson, who was walking through a tube station in the UK. Mm-hmm. And he passed by someone who later accused him of, I think it was sexual assault with a bit of penetration and stuff.
No way.
Yeah.
Penetration.
I think the accusation was rape, wasn't it?
But that's what Steve
Yeah.
has just described, I think.
Kind of, yeah. So, anyway, so during the trial went on for 3 days, and during that, the defence found CCTV footage and played it, and it showed him walking by the person in question with one of his hands holding the strap of his bag and the other hand holding a newspaper. And it shows him just walking straight by, not breaking his stride and keeping going, still holding both. So how he did it, we don't know. But yeah, and the other problem was that she couldn't pick him out of a lineup. And allegedly, and I stress allegedly, this actress will be in Game of Thrones next season. And
it's a famous person.
An award-winning. She can't be named in the UK, which we don't fall under. But it's. I'm still not going to say it until you know it's been confirmed. But it's been confirmed by sources and sources, but not directly to me. So it's a kind of hearsay, I guess. Yeah. So hence I use allegedly. But the poor guy has had a year of this.
Jesus
Christ.
And she's not really helping the cases of those who are in such a situation. But anyway, I just thought it was something that people should probably look up on Twitter if they're interested. Yeah,
and never carry a man bag in public.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Had the CCTV footage not been there, you know, he could have been in trouble. But anyway, his problem was that he.
Thank God for constant population surveillance. An intrusion on our privacy.
he cooperated. I think that was his problem. Yeah, he started talking too much and sort of let himself down the dark hole. Anyway, another thing that went on this week. Have you heard of this Channel 4 program called The Jump? It's on.
Yes.
I haven't, Steve.
It's on season
Tell me
3.
all about it.
Ski jumping, right?
Yeah, so this is it is on Channel 4 because ITV didn't want to take it because it was too dangerous, they said. And it involves people in sort of a Big Brother / Ski Sunday thing. Crossover, right? bear with me, right? So there's about 16 contestants, and what they do is they do competitions and for a number of weeks, and it might be what do you call it, ski cross, it might be the skeleton thing where they go down like bobsleigh, and there's a number of other events, right?
Like extreme plow.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right? But the thing is, it's the two people who come sort of last at the end of the week. They have to do a jump off, so they do the ski jump, and the person training him is Eddie the Eagle, right?
Okay.
And so the person who gets furthest gets to stay.
Right.
And the other person is gone. But the problem is this year that they didn't have any withdrawals in the last 2 seasons, but this season, 4 of them have gone out injured.
Hey.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you qualify for next week if you go furthest but you don't actually survive the jump?
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, so Mark might know a few of these guys. I don't know. Made in Chelsea. Did you watch that?
I know some of the stars.
Yeah, so Mark Francis Van Delly. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone. He fractured his ankle.
Hey.
Oh, no.
That's
poor
on
Mark.
Sunday. Beth Tweedle. Do you know who that is? It's another
Familiar.
kind of, yeah.
What's-
She's still in hospital after neck surgery, which involved having a
Jesus.
piece of bone taken from her hip after
God,
fall and
that's pretty serious.
during rehearsals and having it onto some vertebrae. Fellow Olympian Rebecca Adlington. She's a shoulder injury. Holby City actress Tina Hobley. She dislocated her elbow and fractured her arm in 2 places. And
Jesus.
Linford Christie has been out because I think his hamstring injury, but he's hoping to come back. But anyway, Eddie the Eagle is sort of defending the show, saying, well, actually, this is not due to the producers. It's down to the celebrities who should bear the brunt of the blame because they're not practicing and like if they've an hour free, they're not going up and down and up and down. They'll go up and down once and then go for coffee. And he said, yeah, if you don't practice, that's what happens. So anyway.
You know, Steve, this actually reminds me of a show that was pretty popular there a few years back, especially in Italy. The Gladiatorial Games, pretty popular at the time. How many other celebrities and minorly popular actors and actresses are going to be injured this upcoming week? Do we know? Can we place bets? Can we watch them bleed? Is there like a hospital cam?
No, this is the thing. In this season, before this season, I don't think anyone withdrew in the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
So this is down to genuine sort of, fractures and dislocations. And
Sean is right. Paddy Power must be making a market on this.
Now, I know what Chael Sonnen would say about those guys.
It would. No, I'd take your point if it was happening during the shows, but it's happening during rehearsals and it's happening, that kind of thing. So
it sounds very dangerous.
It does.
A very high cost to be trying to get a boost to your celebrity.
What kind of liability insurance they have is what I'm wondering.
What was the thing Noel Edmonds did where somebody died doing a stunt? Remember the game show was on Saturday nights?
Right. Yeah.
Something about
Saturday was in the title.
A ring of fire.
Isn't Noel Edmonds the box guy?
Wasn't that the thing jumping off a train or something? Wasn't it?
No, someone was in a flaming container, which sounds like a joke, but it's not. And the container fell, was it?
Sounds like a band, actually.
They were supposed to get out of the container, but it fell unexpectedly.
Whoops.
I can't actually remember the.
Yeah,
the
I remember the
story.
occurrence. All right, yeah.
But I remember Noel couldn't do the show anymore. Like it's. I think he was struggling being on TV for a while, but obviously he's back doing the box, as you pointed out, Shona.
The Box with Money show. I forget what it's called.
Deal or no deal.
Deal or no deal. That's it.
Your name is
Non-flaming
better.
containers actually might be what they're calling it. Which is actually my grinder handle, so that works.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so okay, let's crack on.
Also,
Oh yeah, sorry, you have something. Sorry, Sean.
piece of news. I'm very surprised it didn't come up already. I did not send this to anyone during the week because I presumed he'd be like, "Lol, already saw it."
Yeah, stop
Matt
giving up.
LeBlanc.
Just tell us the news, man.
Matt LeBlanc is going to be co-hosting the new Top Gear.
Cool.
Good point.
Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
what do you think that's gonna? What do you think?
We
that's
totally
gonna be like?
already knew that, Sean. We totally already knew that. I don't know why you're even bringing that up.
Yeah. Actually, the last time he was on Top Gear, he did the star, in the reasonably priced car section where they go around the track and set a time and they compare to all the other stars, and he did quite well.
Mm-hmm.
He did very, very well. So the man can drive anyway. Let's see if
he's a naturally funny guy. He doesn't need a script.
Let's hope so.
He's a bit droll and low key, though, isn't he? Like when he's off script.
Yeah, a bit like Jeremy Clarkson.
Well, no, he's almost shy. Nearly.
Probably not as tall as Jeremy Clarkson. But,
No, he's a bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pity, because wasn't Jeremy Clarkson's tallness helping tall people get better cars? Oh God, I'm trying to make a point about Joey from Friends. Like he's like kind of, he doesn't seem like a guy who'd be a good presenter because of the speed he talks at nearly. When he's making jokes on chat shows and that, he's really like sedentary in the way he talks.
Droll.
To be a presenter, you have to be more snappy, right? You have to become hitting them with stuff, moving on, next piece.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
But he's going to have a wingman, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Or
Maybe
two.
he'll just do colour.
Yeah.
No, I was serious. I was serious.
Okay, right.
Play-by-play guy moves it along and the colour guy jumps in with the odd quip.
Okay.
Commentary works. I used to do that, damn you.
Let's start with the first of our movies.
Why not?
Which is The Point That Breaks.
So watching Point Break 2015, as it's labelled on IMDb, though I'm watching it in 2016, which confused me right from the get-go. Not having seen the original Point Break, which is a lie, I did see it, but it falls outside the statute of limitations of my memory. So the only thing I could remember from the original Point Break was the joke in that Simon Pegg film.
Remind us, Mark.
Whose name I also can't.
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
The joke in Hot Fuzz. So that was the only thing that I knew would have to happen. So Point Break talks about a surfer guy who does snowboarding infiltrating a group of extreme criminals. It's basically the plot of Fast and Furious 1. Only it's using mountains instead of roads and snowboards instead of cars. And Vin Diesel has a beard.
Yep. And it's all like, bruh, come on, bruh. Do it for the
Yeah,
trees.
there's accents as well. There was a lot less accents in Fast and Furious.
I enjoyed the original, and I knew this was going to turn out to be another one of these Italian Job remakes. They're all shiny, good looking, but can't really act that good.
Yeah.
And they hit all the main points of the characteristics of the movie, but it's just a bit too shiny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Shannara Chronicles that are just, vaping the people.
This year's Game of Thrones.
You can't keep saying that.
The original, it had personality, you'd Gary Busey, you'd the Red Hot Chili Peppers popping up in the middle of it. Patrick,
Really?
yeah. You'd
I never saw the
Patrick
original.
Swayze and Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say that the first song I ever wrote was called Patrick Swayze is My Hero, and it went, Patrick Swayze is my hero, Patrick Swayze is my hero, and that was the whole song.
Could we have that
That's
for
quite
a
a good
theme
song.
song at the end of
Actually,
this
yeah.
episode?
That sounds brilliant.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. We must do
New
that.
new podcast theme song.
Yeah.
Sorry to interject. It was just critical that I let everyone know that.
Steve, have you got more stuff you want to say?
Yeah, so this is Point Break 2015. Johnny Utah
Confusing.
is now played by a boy from Home and Away. He's back. He suffers an extreme sports tragedy early on, which no one saw coming, I'm sure, considering what he was at and the angle the camera took, but it was pretty extreme. So Johnny decides to become an FBI agent, and seconds later he has his first case, coincidentally, investigating a series of extreme sports robberies, performed in an extremely extreme sports kind of way. So Johnny looks at some maps and some extremely random photos of extreme sports and comes up with a theory that Sherlock would have been extremely proud of. Extremely. These guys must be extreme sports dudes, he says. What with their extreme motorcycle stunts and extreme parachuting. Dude. So I was extremely disappointed. There was no sign of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like I said, nor Gary Busey, but in that the dialogue was extremely brutal. The action scenes are either extremely CGI'd or run and reruns of different angles of the same clips. So continuity is a bit off. It's and it was funny because I was wondering, did the director, was he in the same country as the cinematographer? Right. So then I looked it up and it turns out they're the one and the same guy.
Really?
Yeah. So because you can see them coming down a bit and then you see there's another camera angle coming down the same bit. And it's pretty obvious this is like the 14th or 15th time they've done it because you can see the marks on the snow of the previous runs, right? On this pristine mountaintop, right? So it's just like, oh God.
And
So
there's a sleeping cameraman at the side.
yeah.
Well, maybe you just become part of it and now you can see the line.
Yeah. So as for continuity, it's not unlike Fast and the Furious sort of in that regard. Really.
Ho. Do
So,
not put them in the same category.
yeah, I would just tell you that this is bad. It's extremely bad.
I have my
Extreme.
opinion. I'll tell you what I think about it in a minute.
Yeah. So it's fluff. It's fluff. It's not even visual chewing gum. It's just, it's a bit visual. It's got some actiony bits that I don't know. You have seen better. You have seen better. They're all a bit, they're a bit OTT and they're gone so OTT, a bit like Fast and the Furious, that they look a bit cheap.
Stop putting Fast and the Furious in the same category as this film.
I'm telling you, if I owned both DVDs, if in a parallel universe, they'd be on the same shelf for sure. Yeah.
They would be, but you would watch Fast and Furious a couple of times. You'd only watch this one once.
No.
I've seen Fast and Furious many times and I'd watch it again. I'm ready to review Point Break now.
All right, go
Can
Mark.
it be my turn?
Now that you've got a few boxes to tick, yeah, go for it.
Can it be my turn? I think the big thing that was missing from this film was heart. There was no on-screen chemistry whatsoever.
Boom, yeah.
Johnny Utah.
That's because there was nothing that passed the Bechdel test in this movie.
Oh yeah, what was Teresa Palmer doing in there? Was she
Nothing.
just looking pretty?
Sex.
That was sex.
She did
and
sex
looking
with
pretty.
somebody.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what she's there for.
I guess I was horrified by that alone, but the real problem was the acting. I didn't realize that guy was in Home and Away, the Johnny Utah guy, but he wasn't good. The beardy Patrick Swayze was also not good, and between them, they had nothing in the way of chemistry. It is ridiculous in The Fast and the Furious when Vin Diesel decides to tell Paul Walker in his garage, having known him for 25 minutes, about what happened with his dad, right?
Yeah.
That made no sense.
Yeah.
But Vin Diesel hit that scene with conviction. Paul Walker was there making sympathetic facial expressions with conviction, and the scene worked. And you knew why these guys were bonded, and you knew why Paul Walker was in too deep, right? It made no sense why any of the people in the group that were there were friends. They had an archetype for each one of the gang from the Fast and the Furious, but they were none of them were as good at it.
Yeah.
And it just missed that spark. And maybe it was Keanu and Patrick Swayze that had it, and these guys that don't. I don't know, but it definitely wasn't there. And I think it's outdated now. And unfortunately, Vin Diesel is about to do the same thing because he's making another XXX movie, which is itself an extreme sports thing. But I think the time for movies about extreme sports have passed. The only place I want to see scenes with people snowboarding and diving and mountain climbing is on an ad for some Red Bull exposition. Certainly not a full-length movie where about 30% of it is something going downhill.
Although, what I was thinking during one of the sort of extreme sports scenes was, God, Bond made this so much better, so many times.
They would have had guns, and they'd be shooting dudes, and there would have been
it'd be more exciting.
Oh.
Yeah.
And when he got to the bottom of the hill, there'd been a fucking martini waiting for him.
What did you think of the French Gary Bushy? Like, why was he there? Apart from to drive a boat now and again,
Was he
that
not
was
English?
Winston, is it?
Yeah, his
English
Winston,
guy. Yeah.
Or sorry, English. Sorry, not
It made
French
no
guy.
sense that there was an English guy in the FBI for starters. That's my first problem with it. He was actually decent, His bits were okay because I think he gets the whole acting thing, pretending to be somebody else and doing it convincingly. Whereas this was a secret he shouldn't have kept to himself on set.
That's so true.
Well, Ray Winston, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was quite good, but again, so what does he have to do? He's
Nothing
doing
to
a
do.
role that everybody else has already done,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of a little bit... Sorry, Shauna, did you want to go first?
No, please, Mike.
Yeah, ladies first.
Listen, you made me a cup of tea. Take the opportunity and go first.
Don't be such a chauvinist pig and go first, man.
I was going to say, you guys have been around for a while watching movies.
Not as long as you.
And I'm a bit taken aback at how shocked you are at the approach they took to this. Because, it's interesting. Steve mentioned the word personality in his initial assessment of this, because the first movie was full of personality, full of chemistry. It was cool, and things have moved on, and the modern movie industry has realized that if you want to put bums on seats, you have to take account of the old adage that you can't fuck a personality.
Oh God, Mike, where are you going?
So they want
This
to.
movie stars
your
all
liberal
men,
thinking,
so I'm
Mike.
curious to know where you're going with this.
So basically,
You're not the only woman he's made a cup of tea for, Shona.
basically, they've dispensed with any kind of pretense of making a movie as such. It's just a display. So they'll get good-looking people, put them on the screen, have stuff kind of either explode or move fast or bang into stuff or drop out of planes, and people will go and watch that shit.
Yeah.
And there's a vague cultural memory that Point Break used to be good.
Yeah.
So people say, "Oh, let's go see it," and that's all they care. They're just looking for your dollars.
You're 100% right, Mike. And people like me are part of the reason why that works for Hollywood. But when even I am pushing back on an action film saying it has no heart, then they've finally gone too far.
This is the point of no return.
Do you think this is the reason that there were no previews available for it? To review it in advance?
No, definitely, if that's the case, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because it would have got a terrible score.
Yeah.
Can I say
9%.
it got what, 9%?
On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 9%.
Oh,
this
wow.
one.
Yeah.
Who is giving it 9? Who is rating it that has gotten to 9%? That's what I want to know. And to say that I only had time this week to see one movie, and I fucking chose Point Break.
I know. I feel so bad for you.
Oh my God, I hate you guys.
Burned.
I was like, wow, FBI. I haven't seen the original. I was like, FBI guy infiltrates a criminal gang. That could be interesting. And it's so bad.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. It could have been one of Steve's films for the international Oscar.
I would 1,000 times prefer that to this movie that's like the bromance from Fast and the Furious. It was just sorry. I'm yawning
Even
talking
your own
about the
review is
film.
yawning? Making you yawn, yeah.
That's how enthralled I was. I don't even know if I hate it enough to be able to make my review interesting, except to say that I think Mark hit it on the head that there's no personality here. Considering this was a movie full of guys, if you can't fuck a personality, then I assume it's women they're trying to get into the seat. But I even wouldn't fuck the people on screen. It's just like
So they've really fucked up.
They've really fucked up. Yeah, it was pretty boring, and it became to me almost parody levels of hilarious. The relationship between the newfound Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, you know, with the like, you have to make something better, get something back, give more than you take. And
the whole philosophy of
the philosophy, and they don't even explain
it's terrible.
Yeah.
So bad.
And the plot jumps all over the place. Like, you think it's about like this FBI thing, and then the FBI kind of goes away for a long time, and it's about this guy trying to learn how to do extreme sports.
Extremely.
Extremely. But even that was shot really poorly, like you were saying, Steve. I mean, there was one scene where they're, I don't know if you'd call it cliff diving, or I don't know, they jumped off of a mountain, and their suits had wings when they
Wingsuits.
And they looked ridiculous. They looked like flying squirrels. And I'm thinking, and they showed that shot for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it went on too long.
Half that movie was them drifting down the air like flying squirrels, and it was ridiculous.
Exactly. You know what? I meant to bring that up. The very, very first scene where they're on the dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And they're at top of the hill, and they're like, right, let's go for it, kind of thing. And they found the new trail, and they went going, and there was like, holy shit, this is like the half-hour walk in the snow. You know, it's just like, they went on and on.
Going.
And on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we get the message. You know, we've got that bit. They're going downhill, and it's, they're
See,
good,
whereas something like, I wouldn't be a huge Fast and Furious fan either, but, you know, my GP still makes fun of me. When I was pregnant, I went into her and she said, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "I'm fine." But I cried when I saw Fast and Furious 7 this week. And she still won't let me live it down. I'm chalking it up to the pregnancy hormones, but I have not lived that down. But, I think Fast and Furious action at least moves on. It's kind of fast paced.
And furious. In places.
It is both fast and furious.
Yeah.
Whereas
stay true to the name. Yeah.
Point Break was just, you know, kind of showing the same thing over and over again. There was no movement, there's no progression, and like, if you're gonna make a movie that's supposed to be actiony and interesting to watch, and they just keep showing the same thing for like 20 minutes, it's not a lot of bang for your buck. It's boring, and I didn't like it. The end.
The philosophy about, is it the Kozaki 8?
Osaki 8, yeah.
Osaki 8. Yeah. Like, that was Crystal Skull levels of plot.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous. It made absolutely no sense.
I quite like the Crystal Skull.
Is that like the Crystal Maze?
No, it's
Indiana Jones
like
Crystal Maze.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, so what were they looking for? Enlightenment or something again?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, so this is water. And it's like,
can you imagine the drugs
why?
that were going on in the writing studio when they came up with that?
This is the thing. It was just like, so we have to do like earth, wind, fire kind of thing. Yeah, but why? Don't ask that question. Just go with it. Just go with it. You know?
And I just kept thinking while I was watching this, like, multiple people had to green light this film for it to get on our screens. Multiple people said this is a worthy investment of studio money.
This is the thing. I meant to look up the budget, you know, just for the laugh. I wish I had now. Forgotten. Yeah.
You know, a lot of people worked really hard on this movie.
Oh wait, Sean has the budget. I'm going to pause your opinion, Mike. Sean, give it to us.
Oh, I didn't know we could pause Mike's opinion.
Yeah.
Now that I know.
Finally, Sean discovers the secret of his bicycle.
The budget for this movie was $105 million.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Would you like to know the box office?
Yeah.
Go on.
$116.5 million.
No way.
Wow.
That's what it says.
Wow.
Directed by
so
Erickson Core.
But there's another
so
100
many people
million
having sex with not personalities.
There's another 100 million of marketing on that as well, though, isn't there?
Was it
I don't know,
marketed?
but I'll say this. That's not really a profit.
No.
It's not really. It's technically a profit,
Yeah,
but 11.5 million is really not why you spend that much time.
Yeah.
And essentially some amount of thought, or at least a lot of hours where you think that you're thinking, to make a movie.
Yeah. Right. Have we abused this movie enough?
I think so.
Okay. Do you want to mark it so?
Let's do it.
Start with you, Shona.
I was thinking about this earlier because it's so low in a score. I'm tempted to give it like B-level movie scores. So I think it has to be graded in and around there.
There's some good B movies out there.
Yeah, be careful now.
Yeah, I know. So I think I'm going to have to give it a 3.
Okay, yeah, that seems fair. Yeah.
And the 3 is mostly for effort.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mark?
If you're making an action movie, like Shona said, the action has to be interesting.
Yeah.
They managed to make action uninteresting, and that is a sin that I cannot forgive. It's a 2.
Yeah.
Mike?
The very first scene of this movie, the two boys are sitting there on motorbikes, and they do a fist pump, and the very first thing that came into my mind was the other guys with the rock aim for the bushes.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take this fucking movie seriously after that.
Yeah.
This is a 2. Yeah, it's fucking shite.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 3, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. I was worried that I was going to be the one giving it like the highest mark, and I didn't feel like that was fair, so thanks.
No, I think 3 is the fair mark. All right. Yeah. For effort. Yeah. But very little effort. Yeah.
This movie is shite, don't see it.
Yeah.
Home and Away is actually quite interesting these days. Say your man will probably go back to it.
Yeah. Okay. So, next up we have the first of our TV, which is Horace and Pete. Sean.
Horace and Pete from Louis C.K. Interestingly, dropped with no heraldry. It was not announced. Just appeared on Louis C.K.'s website, and he sent out an email to his subscribers. It tracks the story of a bar, an Irish bar in America, in what I believe to be New York, that has been run by a Horace and a Pete for 100 years. Horace the Eighth, played by Louis C.K., and Pete the Eighth, played by Steve Buscemi, basically run a bar, and we get to see a day of that bar's operations, as it seems the trials and tribulations are going to beset them on all sides, both internally and externally. Enemies, both foreign and domestic.
So this was in his TV. It's not a series, right?
It's a miniseries.
Yeah.
So I watched an hour and 20 minutes of it. Is that it?
No. That's episode 1.
Episode 1.
Oh, Christ. There's more of that.
There is.
So,
and, it's experimental. It's not going to be something like we're used to from Louis C.K., and he's not following the normal, checkbox ticking kind of formula of multi-camera.
I'm guessing why he's probably dropped it on his website rather than a typical provider.
Well, as soon as you don't have a
doing
couple boxes ticked on your TV show or movie, that's where you lose me right away.
Right.
So this is like a play. It's a play that was filmed with cameras.
Yes.
So,
and this is
I would have preferred if they just left it in a theater.
But have you ever seen Dogtown before?
I've ever seen what?
Dogtown with Nicole Kidman.
No, I probably avoided that.
This is sort of the way the original multi-cameras used to be shot, like way back when. And this is why he's bringing it back to it, just as
Cheers.
Exactly. Back to it's not quite.
Reminded me of Cheers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to.
Exactly. So because it hasn't been done like that, he thought, let's try this, and he's not under any obligations to anyone or any sort of pressure to do anything else. He's just doing it sort of as an experiment to see how it goes and see if it might be a new age in TV or,
Well, God knows what we need is people trying to come up with new things. Like I think we talked a lot about on our end of year awards show about how things are just being repeated, right?
Right.
I'll stop being reductive at the very start. Let me say what was good about it. Acting, writing, characterization, all very good. Story was interesting as stories like this go. I thought they had some really strong cast.
Yeah.
I saw, was it Nurse Jackie appeared for like 10 minutes at the end of the episode that I watched.
Edie Falco?
Edie Falco, yeah.
She was Mrs. Soprano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The likes of that, like everybody that was in that show did their parts really well. Like 50-year-old district assistant DA and a girl that was chatting him up, they were really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your man that used to be the president? The
Alan,
old Uncle Pete.
Alan.
Alan Alda.
Alda. He was in MASH, wasn't he?
MASH guy. That's right.
That's right.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah.
I thought he was because his character was kind of the most ridiculous, but he was really believable playing it.
And I think he got the majority of the best lines. I think he was nearly
Definitely,
he was nearly the comic relief in it. Yeah.
But I'm probably the least qualified to talk about this. It sounds like you guys all really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I wish that it was a 45-minute TV episode, which is what our TV pick is supposed to be, Sean. But it's I can see that there's certainly merit to it. It's not rubbish. For people that don't want to watch something like that, I'm sure it's really good. I hated it. I wouldn't fancy watching another episode ever again. I didn't think there was any movement. Like it was two locations, just like if it was on a stage, you know, like there was the bed sit upstairs and there was the bar. That was it. Nothing else. People moved in, people moved out. Random guy came in, did a speech, you know, and he disappeared for a while, just like a play. So no, it's not for me. Someone else should say nice things about it now.
I'm not far off where you are on this, Mark. Like I enjoyed it in that it was different, and I enjoyed it because of Alan Alba. Is that what we said?
Alda.
Alda. Sorry, yeah, I always get it wrong.
Like Alderon.
Yeah, Alda. Like I really enjoyed his parts, and Steve Buscemi is really good as well. Actually, everyone's really good, but they were the ones that I particularly liked. But I felt it dragging a bit. I mean, I think it was too long for me. I'd like to see episodes that are a little bit more concise.
Like a TV show episode.
No, you see, I enjoyed the format, but I just thought it.
But you could do that for. Well, wasn't Cheers like 20 minutes or something?
I don't know. I can't
But they're doing very different things.
Yeah, they well, that's true. Yeah. But that said, you know, the stage setup and so on, that didn't bother me so much. But I did find myself watching characters who weren't in the spotlight at the time. What are they doing? And you can see them, they're doing exactly theatre style, sort of nodding or just sort of chatting away, you know, said bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter, you know that kind of thing. It took the focus away for me, you know, because I was kind of busy, you know, watching what was going on in the background. But that said, I did enjoy it, but I'm not sure I want to sit through another hour and 20 minutes.
Oh God, no.
You know, I don't think I got enough from it, let's say. Yeah, just started to drag.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd agree with you there that an hour and 20 minutes is a lot to watch for this style of show that he's doing. It's something that I haven't really seen done before. I mean, I see what you mean about the comparisons with Cheers. But I'd say they're not really a like for like comparison. And this show, I didn't really know anything about it before I started watching it. And
that was the beauty. No one did.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's true.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
because he actually went and he was his own distributor and promoter because he just launched it through his website.
On his website, yeah.
So he's doing the Beyonce on it. You know? Yeah.
And you know, when I was watching it, the first 20 minutes or so, I was like, wow, this is really like a play. And because it's filmed in like, the camera's just sitting there in like one continuous scene almost. And, you know, there are times that the actors kind of fob their lines and they just kind of have to pick up and keep going. It's not perfect. You know, there's one time where one of the minor characters says, you know, and then she has to pay the bill. And she just, it's a small slip up like that you can, it's actually like you're watching a theater.
Yeah.
And, then about halfway through the episode, there is literally an intermission. It comes up on screen.
Yeah.
I thought that mistake was a mistake on purpose to give the effect of it being a play.
Well, see, there you go. I mean,
it's
whether intentional or not, it definitely.
So it doesn't come out as polished, and it's
not at all.
It's like a second or third reading.
Yeah, and even like the acting style is very theatrical in that, like, it definitely seems fake.
Yeah.
But you're kind of just listening. It's more about the dialogue than it is about the delivery, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What I liked about it was the dialogue that was written. I think there were some interesting conversations that happened in the bar. There was one in particular I liked about this one guy who was kind of mediating between a Republican and conservative discussion because there's Trump on the television in the bar and they kind of get into things, and he starts kind of asking them interesting questions about their point of view, about what their politics meant and how they think their politics is perceived. It was an interesting conversation. I found myself thinking about it later on that day and afterwards. there was also some character development that I thought was really interesting. Steve Buscemi's in particular. I mean, that's kind of the storyline I'm most interested in. Where he's going off his medication and there's serious repercussions for that, as well as the woman that plays Louis C.K.'s daughter. I think Louis C.K. in the characters I've seen him play, he tends to do kind of I don't know if I'll call them modern families very well, where nothing is ever utopian, but he's always just trying to make it work and have genuine connections with people, and I see that in various characters he's done. And that's happening again with his daughter, and they have an interesting conversation where, you know, he just kind of seems oblivious to the pain that he's caused her, but she's hurting a lot and needs him to, you know, be aware of it. And then later on when his sister is there, you know, and there's a conversation about their family that's quite revealing, and he's, you know, trying to straddle these lines between, you know, I suppose, well, I don't even know how I would describe it, but I like the way that his character is kind of written around that, those relationships. They're not perfect, but he's really trying to make them work, and he's very genuine about them. So I think there's interesting aspects that I would like to see. I would like to know how they're resolved. I want to know what happens with Steve Buscemi's character and what happens with the family dispute. But an hour and 20 minutes is, I think, way too long, especially considering there seems to be quite a lot of filler. Maybe filler is the wrong word, but there's nothing that would grab you.
No, that's the right word. Like, a guy walks in and talks about how he met his wife there 30 years ago. Randomly. It had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You could have left that out and saved yourself 5 minutes.
It was that scene, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was very strange, that scene.
It was like something you'd seen in a play.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the director's son. They had to give him something to
or they allowed people to rearrange stuff in the background, you know, while he was talking. You know?
Something like that. I didn't see the point to it. And I think a lot of things were laboured. It felt like watching a play that I wasn't enjoying, a lot of this. Like,
yeah, I think that's a good description. But I found myself, when it was over, I think I said, wow. So I think I was really impressed by it. It certainly wasn't at all what I was expecting, because I expected a comedy because it was starring Louis C.K. and Steve Buscemi. Yeah. I expected to laugh, and I didn't laugh during this show. It was more like a thinker. So I think I came out more on the positive side, but I'm kind of still digesting about what I saw.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
I think Sean's about to get in here now and tell us why our opinions aren't valid.
I just wish there was more Rebecca Hall in it.
Who is she?
She was the Louis C.K.'s girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she just came in, went out.
What else is she from?
Oh, my.
So many things.
Oh, my God.
Shona.
Oh, no, did I ask the wrong question?
She cries
She's
a
been
lot.
failing the Bechdel test and a lot of stuff.
Shona, we'll talk later.
Understood. Let's move on. Sean.
Horace and Pete's pilot episode, which is 65 minutes long, definitely evokes
60 minutes too long.
Definitely evokes. I guess I want to explain the Cheers comparison thing. Cheers was a show about a bunch of people avoiding their lives and their problems and drinking, but it had a laugh track, so people presumed that it was a comedy. And it was trying to be, but it was really just making light of some shit that if you actually were friends with these people, it would be fucking intolerable to be around them. So it's trying to show what that would be like. I think that the play comparison is apt to a point. I think that a lot of the things we've talked about are the show trying to be more like life, more authentic, because you talked about things being filler. For example, the guy who shows up talks about how he met his wife in that bar and how he killed her. And the guy who, you know, she was sleeping with, and then he went to jail for 50 years and he just got out and he went there to check to see on it. I don't think that was filler. 1, I thought it was incredibly hilarious. 2, I thought it was really fucking sad. And 3, just because things happened a long time ago, it doesn't mean that they're good. Which is one of the arguments that goes on during this between Alan Alda's character and Edie Falco's, I think. I thought that it had a slow start. Also, kind of because that's how a day in a bar goes. It was genuinely like there was these small little things and it was kind of lonely, and it was like, what time is it? What time is it? People asking each other what the time is because they want things to happen. They want to open, you know, they want things to progress. They want things to move forward, but they're not doing anything about it. And then people start to filter in. We get to see these characters. The idea, there's a concept called Sonder. The idea that everyone's life is as meaningful and as moving and as full as yours. And the same way that they are lights and windows in our stories, we are lights and windows in theirs. So we got to see a breadth of experience. You know, we got to see a lot, not only just in the whole conversation between the Democrat and the Republican, and the translation between them, the mediation. That was not only interesting in and of itself. I definitely reflected on it a lot, although it was a bit preachy for me. I thought it was interesting as well because, of course, this is going to be something that, if it could be said to the opposing sides in the argument about the bar itself, then that would probably help a lot as well. And then you had lots of little subplots. You had Jessica Lange playing the last girlfriend of the Horace that died. I thought that was really interesting because it's one of those things that doesn't make sense to you unless it does make sense to you. And it clearly, like, older Pete is very much like, no, fuck you. Although I think there's going to be some romantic tension there later. Maybe not. Right. This is one of those shows where I'm not confident of being able to predict what's going to happen. I really liked, what was his name? The guy who just says, we're all fucked. Everything's fucked. So why not vote for Trump? Because that is a way that any of these characters could look at their lives and just let it be that way. Yeah. They could just say, all right, it's fucking fucked. Louis C.K. doesn't have to try, I guess Horace doesn't have to try and mend fences with his daughter. And here's the thing. It's not about the big gestures. It's about the small everyday things. That's said in the show. Well, in big network television, we see big things and then stuff is fixed. Whereas really in life, it pretty much is like the everyday, how you treat people, how you try and be involved in their lives, etc., etc. So I think that everything that was in the show was supposed to be there, and I think that it had value.
But do you think watching like a day in someone else's life is interesting?
If it was in that bar, if it was that bar in those stories, yes, of course. Okay.
No, Sean, you've listed out a bunch of things that are really interesting, and you've listed out a bunch of things that are real and true to life, and art should imitate life. But it doesn't make this a better TV show. You know, you didn't sell the TV show to me in any way by anything that you've said there. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was good fun, good crack to watch?
Yeah. Well, I laughed a lot.
Why?
But also, it generally affected me.
You laughed at this show?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Louis C.K. on the phone. Please stop texting me. Please, I'm calling you. Yeah. You're clearly getting my voicemails. Please just answer the phone. Yeah. That was funny every time that joke was called back. It was genuinely really funny when the guy walks in and tells the story and everyone's like, what's this story going to be? This is a new character who's entered into the thing. I killed her. And then I killed him. And then everyone goes...
And then he starts crying.
Oh, shit.
I can't believe you thought that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. And then he started crying. And then it was sad.
I actually went, why is this guy here? How many minutes of my life is he going to cost me?
I understand that you don't like the show. You asked me why, like, how I reacted to it as I watched it.
That's fair enough. I answered the question, you answered it. That's fine. I wasn't saying that. I was just giving you my perspective on that part. No, I didn't actually think that was funny. I didn't laugh as much. Like, I did think that there was a lot of poignant stuff in it. There's a lot of thought-provoking stuff in this show, which is fine. I think they could have done it in 45 minutes. And why couldn't they have solved the mystery while they were doing it?
Well, like, if one had a set of special skills,
if it wasn't for you,
maybe the other
kids.
person could be a different ethnicity and or gender, and they could actually be a cop, so that they could work
now
together.
You're talking about a Louis C.K. show I'd enjoy.
I just thought I appreciated how different it was and how unexpected it was. That's enjoyable, and it really did break my heart when they transitioned towards the end. Obviously, you won't give away that, but I was just like, don't do this thing that I'm really worried you're going to do. And then a character did that, and I was like, fuck you, fucking
Mike, have you seen this?
I have seen this.
What did you think?
After 10 minutes, I came very close to switching it off.
Right.
The opening annoyed the hell out of me.
Oh.
Because if you're working in a bar, the reason that the chairs are put up on the tables at night is so you can sweep and mop.
Yes. And
the first thing they do is take the chairs down and then start
try sweeping it. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You've never spent an hour in a fucking bar.
That's right. Yeah.
And
they do admit to being terrible bar owners.
Yeah. And they dragged that opening scene out so long. And I was very nearly lost on it. And then I said, I'm a professional. I review this shit for a living. I'm going to push on through. So I did, and I was glad I did, because after 15 minutes I figured, okay, this is a play on TV.
Yeah.
And I really like plays.
Yes.
So fuck you guys that don't like plays. I think it's very well timed, because this is a presidential year. And what I got out of it was that this is a conversation on America. This is all about what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to think, what you're allowed to feel, what you're allowed to hope for. What's the boundaries of the society that A, we have, and B, we want to live in.
Wow. That wasn't the first thing I thought of. I have to admit.
Let me down, Mike. Yeah.
Wow,
I'm
Mike,
with him.
tell us.
I'm
Tell
with
us.
him.
I've never heard Mike talk in like so many consecutive sentences without being cynical.
Insulting women or racist or whatever.
Right,
He
so
does it twice a season. He likes to do that and then hibernate for a while.
he just blindsides us all together. Go on. Yeah.
Like you have things like the Alan Alda's character.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly, making what would be
Offensive
considered
comments.
offensive comments. Like your one calls him out on it in almost her first appearance.
Yeah.
You can't say that. That's
Yeah.
racist. And he comes back. He says, "We served niggers here in the 30s."
Yeah.
And he actually uses the N-word. That's why I'm using it, not any other reason.
Yeah.
It's a quotation.
Yeah.
So it's a direct challenge to what you can say and can't say on TV.
Right.
Just like you, Mike.
Yeah. Then you have the Republican liberal conversation. Again, it's a challenge of what do you think a liberal is? What do you think a Republican is? And they try and switch it around and say, well, what do you believe you are?
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. Because I normally look at Democrats as like some form of pawn scum, but that's the thing. So that made me think. Then like you have the guy, the murderer, coming in.
Yeah.
And that's what are you allowed to feel? Like he's murdered his wife.
Okay.
He felt that rage, and now he feels the sadness. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, how am I supposed to react to this? He's a murderer, but he's sad. Do I empathize with him? Is he a dick? How can I feel about this? And I thought that was an interesting challenge to me as a watcher to look at that scene. And it made me think. And there was so many things right throughout it. Lots of little things like you would find in a play, because they're not banking on fucking Song of Shannara bullshit CGI crap to get you through the hour.
One critic called it the next Game of Thrones.
Was that you?
Maybe.
Well, yeah. So at what point during this did you think of this analogy?
Which analogy?
Of it being about the US?
Because they had talked about Hillary Clinton and the Iowa primaries and stuff like this, which is very topical. We obviously wrote it like last week.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just came to me that this is a year when Obama is leaving office, so the people of America have to decide what they want America to be for the next 4 or 8 years.
Right.
And they have a pretty stark choice between more of the same or going back to the Republican way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's coming from, making people in America think about what they want their country to be, and that's why they've raised all these issues.
Okay.
That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it.
No.
Quite often, I think a bar is usually a microcosm of something.
Yeah.
Like they like to be like, all right, this bar is whatever people.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that would contradict that.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that a lot of people absolutely hate it. To the marks of this world, don't watch this. You absolutely don't watch it.
This is the problem with the way our show is put together, Mike. We don't have options.
So is this art house TV?
I think it's a good description for it.
Almost, yeah. And I mean, we've been given out about people not doing something new on TV.
You have to give him credit for taking a new style of entertainment.
Yeah.
And
I
giving it a
did.
go.
I did try and do that.
Yeah.
And, I know
Backhanded compliment, maybe.
I know they've given us new stuff by actually giving us old stuff before we had screens to watch people talk about life on. Yeah, I have to say, I thought it was good.
Wow.
Okay.
Here you go.
Right.
I'm floored to hear you talk like this, Mike. It's like the least offensive opinion I've ever heard you give.
Some kind of body
And it also
snatchers thing,
included
I
the
think.
N-word. Jesus.
Yeah.
I was expecting. There's no boobs. It's crap.
Yeah.
Okay. So thriller from you then.
Yes, indeed.
So will you watch more?
I will indeed.
You will.
Yes.
Okay, Shona.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where the characters go. And I'm intrigued. So this is a thriller for me.
I'm very close to fence sitting, but yeah, I'm intrigued, and I kind of want to see. I do want to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I don't really want, unless the first 10 to 15 minutes of the next one grabs me.
Yeah.
I'll probably just go, nah.
Interesting, but let's move on.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think it's fair to say that, like me, it didn't blow your mind, but you want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different enough actually and some of the dialogue is pretty good. And Steve Buscemi's character, I want to see what happens there.
Yeah, me too.
I really like Steve. So
yeah.
Mark.
So I owe this alleged TV show a great debt because I thought at the Bikies this year what we wanted was something new. Now I know that that's not the case. Thank you,
careful
Horace
what
and
you wish
Pete,
for.
you fucking time wasters, you. It's filler for me, Steve. I never want to see this again.
Okay, Sean.
I'm really excited to watch the next episode, especially because I can imagine it literally being, it's morning, they go downstairs, they sweep up imperfectly, and they just have a day at the bar, and that's the next episode. I'd be really interested to see how they take the form that they've established, and either do new things with it or just try and continue their story and characters along. It's a thriller for me.
Before we leave, can I make one spoiler prediction?
Okay. Yeah.
Counting in spoiler in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The gay lawyer
Yeah.
makes a reference to Louis C.K. as also gay.
Does he?
I'm betting that's revealed that's why he split up with Rebecca Hall, but he couldn't admit it.
Oh.
End of spoiler.
Interesting. The last thing I want to say is it's rare that I watch a TV show and I'm really interested in what's going to happen and also how they're going to do it. And I just realized that when I was watching the show, because it was so weird, I was just going, wait, okay, so they're filming it like this. Like, I was literally just thinking about the scheduling of the show. Jessica Lange was just sitting in the background.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
show, pretty much.
Yeah.
How do you get her to do that? You have to fucking film. You just go, all right, roll the tape, do it. And that's why people flub lines and stuff. I'm just really excited to see how they do things as well as what happens.
Cool.
We'll report back. Me and Mike will have we'll get some sherry and some tea. We'll sit down. we'll just see how it goes. Have some intellectual conversations.
That's a real house divided, I think, this week.
Okay. Second of our movies is Trumbo. This is set in 1947. Dalton Trumbo was the most successful, most well-paid screenwriter in the world. He was Hollywood's top screenwriter until he and other artists were jailed and blacklisted for their political beliefs, in that they were damn commies. So there was a big witch hunt to root out all those reds. And so the American, was it the House of Un-American Activities? They were brought before Congress, and he was asked to name all those, name and shame all those, and he took the first. He decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And so they put him in jail. And sort of goes from there. How he gets around his whole blacklist and how life went on. Stars Bryan Cranston. It also has what's her name? Diane Lane, Helen Mirren.
The guy from Firefly, the pilot.
Alan Tudyk.
And what's his name from Roseanne?
Goodman.
Yeah, that's it. So what do we think of this? Mark.
It seemed like the podcast this week was doing its best to make me waste my time. And I've actually taken Mike's position this week as being Mr. Negative. But this is, I could nearly say many of the same things I said about Horace and Pete, as I said about this. Well acted, very well acted actually. Well scripted, good characterization, but not interesting at all. It seemed like when they were talking about, witch hunts for communists, couldn't they actually have witch hunted a few communists and maybe like burned them or drowned them or something? Like it was just, it went okay. So a lot happened in it. There was a lot of character development. Bryan Cranston was excellent, but it failed to interest me. And if I wasn't such a seasoned professional, I would have walked out very quickly after it started going, oh man, this is not my kind of film. So once again, not being Mr. Mainstream, or being Mr. Mainstream rather, and this not being in my track, I just couldn't enjoy it. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm getting tired of hearing me being negative. So why doesn't somebody else talk about it that liked it? Maybe
I can see why you didn't like it. Now, granted, it's a biopic or biopic. Who's just calling it biopics?
Biopic, me, because
biopic.
It's a pic of a biography. Biopic sounds like myopic, or it's surgical or something.
Biopic.
Oh.
But
Didn't we have this row last season?
we did.
We did.
Yeah, reference back season 9. Yep.
Yeah, I think the right answer is in there somewhere, but we all forget what it is.
I like this. I didn't think it was the best movie by any chance, by any description, but it wasn't the worst movie. It kept me interested. The dialogue was really good, and that kept me interested. The fact that he was so sort of eccentric, that kept me interested. Being up before Congress and defying them, that kept me interested. Mm-hmm. He is a very colourful character, let's say. Did you see this, Mike?
I did.
You did?
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought there was a couple of scenes in this that you'd liked, and you'd see as familiar. Sitting in a bath, drinking whiskey, writing, and taking loads of amphetamines, for days at a time.
I thought you were going to say some Christian brother with a big stick hovering over me saying, "Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?"
Now, I know it's about himself, Trumbo, but what fascinated me was the witch hunt that went on. Mm-hmm. Like the extent of the witch hunt to find those commies. 1943, USSR, or sorry, should I say Russia?
No, it was the USSR then.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah. And the Americans were allies.
That's right.
So it was fine. 1947, not so.
All sitting around having whiskies in Yalta.
Yeah, so now they're all arguing over the bits of Germany that were left over, so then they weren't friends anymore. Yeah. All right, so...
who got the good beer in that deal?
The West Germans, I believe. I like the pace of this. Poor El Diano. Mm-hmm. She just played the long-suffering, loyal wife, the stereotypical. She didn't have a whole lot for doing, as Mark would say.
She was very busy. She was washing, cleaning, looking after the kids.
This is exactly it. She'd just come up and give him a look and just go, for God's sake, you're pulling this family apart, kind of stuff,
That was 20 years later.
All right. There's another problem that there's a problem that I had with it was when they needed to tell the audience about something, they did it in the form of having him explain something to his daughter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I felt that he was talking to the audience like they were children. Mm-hmm. But
his daughter was a child.
So, yes, but this is how this works. Rather than explaining it in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a bit sort of like, this is what this does, and this is what's going to happen. Yeah.
But he was a condescending bastard anyway. Mm-hmm. Like that pretty fit in just fine.
Yeah. But he's an entertaining character. I don't think I'd like the guy, or would have liked the guy, but he was entertaining. But what amazed me was I had no idea about the amount of movies. I didn't know the whole Trumbo story. I knew who he was, and I knew some of the ins and outs, and I knew the Spartacus thing, and so on. But I didn't realize how many movies that he was writing, and how he got around it with the King brothers and all that. John Goodman is one of the King brothers.
I love the shit out of this movie.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. And
I would imagine Sean
What
would love the
universe
shit
do
out
we
of
live
this.
in this week that Mike has been positive about so much that we've seen?
I got
My
new,
mind is being blown.
I got new medication this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's fucking great.
Jesus Christ.
You got the good stuff this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the back of the bus shelter.
Yeah.
$9.99. Ask no questions. To start with, I can fully understand why the marks of this world would fucking hate it.
It's a phrase now.
Well, there's no action, there's no zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doomed from the start. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Although I did have a little, what's the word? Schadenfreude.
Right.
Watching this movie and thinking about the marks of this world who have a hard on for Bryan Cranston
Right.
making a movie like this.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's nowhere near Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
This is a very talky movie. Not a lot happens, like in terms of, aliens with exploding heads or anything like that.
Physically. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a lot of characterese type stuff.
Yeah.
And I was drawn into it. Absolutely. Hook, line, and sinker. I loved the exploration of the characters' reactions to the pressure they were under. And I loved the demonstration of how thought police can fuck up a person's,
Life,
basically. Yeah. And I mean, I know you all give out to me for being a bit of a dick, but I see the same thing with political correctness in the modern era.
Right. Yeah.
If you defy the standards that are set by some random dude writing for the New York Times, you're done.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much in this country, but in other places, in other industries, you can lose your job if you don't have the right-on view of the week.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a timely exposition of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought the acting was brilliant, all around, even the minor characters.
Yeah. Helen Mirren was great.
Yeah.
She was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she carried some venom in her.
Oh, I hated her.
Yeah.
But but she was brilliant. Yeah. She made me hate her. Yeah.
And
your man who played John Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently they went quite easy on him.
Right.
On John Wayne himself. Apparently he was a lot worse than he came across as being in this. Yeah.
I particularly love there's one scene where John Wayne meets Trumbo.
Yeah, it's a great scene actually. Yeah.
And he just says, "So what did you do in the war?"
Yeah.
That was a classic conflict,
Just like to say, he got his ass handed to him. Yeah, really, Yeah. Sorry, the real footage that they show of Trumbo in Congress up before the committee. I just love that it's true.
Yeah.
That it wasn't that wasn't all fabricated for drama and so on. I just love that's the way he was and his famous speech and so on.
Yeah. And where in the name of God did they get Kirk Douglas?
I know, yeah.
That was the reincarnation of Kirk Douglas.
He was great, and that whole story is just brilliant as well. Yeah. And Otto, he was sort of a bit of comic relief as well.
But what I particularly enjoyed about it was the fact that they didn't hide the fact that he was a dick.
Yeah.
They made it very clear in terms of his family relationships. This isn't a hero. This isn't somebody like fucking Braveheart that you're out there rooting for.
Yeah.
He was a tosser in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the story is interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. I don't have a lot more to say on it, actually. Yeah.
We could mark it.
We could. Do you think, isn't he nominated Best Actor?
Could well be.
Yeah.
Certainly deserved it.
How do you think he's doing stacked up against what we know,
Against the Leonardos this world?
I think he's 15 or 25 to 1 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's down the other, which I remember after watching the movie, I just thought, oh, that's a bit low,
Yeah. It's a good effort.
But he didn't suffer though. Whereas Leonardo suffered.
Yeah.
You know,
At
he
no
suffered
point
for
was he
his-
ever
even though
cold.
You know, yeah. He suffered
Even
for his
though I
art.
hated the
you know?
movie, I think he could be in with a shout. Like he did a really good job in this.
Yeah.
Like he was a different person from other roles we've seen him. I thought he was really convincing as Trumbo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big hairy moustache and all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just this complete person that you got to know during the film and developed along the way. I thought he did a really good job. There's no reason why he shouldn't get it anyway that I can think of.
I actually found it hard. Like I was trying to be objective while I was watching it, as to whether am I interested in the story or is this just really well acted. I found it hard to separate it at times because like Bryan Cranston is so good and people like John Goodman.
Yeah.
He's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's always brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. One thing actually, they talk about the movie Roman Holiday.
Yeah.
I had never heard of Roman Holiday.
What?
No, never seen it.
Okay. Yeah,
Never heard of it.
Saying what?
I admit my ignorance on this.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my mother, and I asked her, have you ever seen Roman Holiday? And it was amazing. She just stopped.
Yeah.
And her eyes, they lit up almost like, do you know when Shona talks about Colin Firth?
Yeah.
In a suit.
Oh, yeah.
The first thing
Or in lacy man garments.
The first thing she said to me was, Gregory Peck, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's fucking 55 years ago or something. the impression is still there. So
Actually, I see that Bryan Cranston's gone to 50-1, along with Matt Damon.
okay.
Just from this podcast, just from us.
No,
talking about the videos.
the
that'll
power
be
we have.
tomorrow.
Is
Yeah.
this best actor?
Yeah.
It's going to be Leo.
Well, you see, Leo's
Yeah,
Doing.
Shauna's just like,
Well, listen.
why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. It's going to happen.
Leo is 1-40 now.
It's going to happen.
1-40.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to happen.
So then, Eddie Redmayne for the Danish Girl is 14-1. Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs is 16-1. And then Matt and Brian, you know, my mates Matt and Brian.
Yeah.
They're at 50-1. Yeah.
I'd have put Brian ahead of Fassbender.
Nah. I haven't seen it. I don't know why I'm talking.
Yeah. So we mark it, Mike.
Okay. I appreciate this isn't a movie for everybody. If you like talky kind of movies, go see it. I'll give it an 8.
An 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Right, Mark.
It's tricky enough. I didn't like it at all, but it kind of ticks a lot of boxes for goodness. So I'm going to give it a 5. Out of respect for the art that went into it.
Yeah. It's 7 for me. Yeah. Solid 7. It's up above average for sure, but it's not quite at the 8 or 9s.
Okay.
Stuff that we saw recently. It's really good. I'd recommend it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you like your talking movies, as they say. Yeah.
Actually, they did talk about the bughead alien with the country girl.
Yeah. You better explain that.
He has to write shit movies to survive, and one of the characters tries to bring in communist philosophy into a movie about a bug-eyed alien having sex with a country girl. It's quite a funny scene. Anyway, move on.
Okay, so next up we have some previews and Coming to a Bicycle near you.
I'd like to compliment whoever selected this week's previews.
I was going to say,
I was
who
about
put
to
these
say,
on?
I'm sorry you. Well, see, here's what happens. Most weeks, I'd say none of us probably give a think to what trailers we're going to review, and so Steve, as a good host, kind of the day or two before we record, will stick up some trailers and we make him do the work. So I try to keep an eye open for when the news, mostly Twitter, mentions that there is a new trailer out, I think, oh, I'll put this trailer down because it saves Steve having to do extra work when he does so much for us already. And so that's how we ended up with these trailers this week.
So what was the first rom-com on the list, Steve?
The first one is Me Before You, and this is about a girl who is very good looking. Should we
Emilia
know her
Clarke,
as
she is Daenerys.
Khaleesi? Yeah, and
She's not very good looking in this, though. She's obviously
No.
acting less pretty.
They're trying to...
she's a bit
she's quirky pretty.
She's a bit dowdy at the start, but she
No,
she
you know
looks
what she is?
better looking as
She's
it goes
the
on.
equivalent of like commercials or TV shows where there's a gorgeous person wearing glasses that's like nerdy and no one thinks is pretty until she takes her glasses off.
The
and then they're like,
librarian.
oh my god, she's gorgeous. That's
The
it.
librarian. She shakes out her hair as well. As she
Yeah.
takes the
like
glasses off.
Felicity
No,
Smoke.
Steve, you're thinking of porn.
You're correct. Yeah. And she is.
She's a
going
carer
to be
for-
a carer for an extremely handsome man.
Yeah, but he's
Guess what
wheelchair
happens?
bound, so
Guess
also
what
it's like
happens?
librarian equivalent. You know, he's real. How could you fall in love with him? But then she falls in love.
Well,
with
this
him.
kind of reminds me of The Untouchables, which we watched.
Oh,
a
you
couple
beat
of
me
years
to
ago.
it.
Did I? Oh, sorry.
Intouchables.
Intouchables. Yeah. Which was the French movie a few years ago. It's not dissimilar.
Je l'ai pas vu.
You
It's the
should
same,
watch this if
basically.
you
It's
haven't seen
another
The
rom-com.
Untouchables. Watch it; it's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very.
Well, no,
very good.
watch this one, because this one's in English.
No,
But
it
this
doesn't
one
matter
looks
what
shit.
Is
language
it
you're
is
on.
it the
It's fantastic.
Intouchables or is it like the
Intouchables.
Les
In-
Intouchables?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Exactly what Shona said.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So she has no experience, and then she gains experience.
You talk so much like Stewie from Family Guy every time. I just listen to you podcast and it's just like Stewie.
She's got you there, man.
I escaped from your fallopian what was your fallopian Bastille? Yeah. So anyway,
She's going to be a carer and he's obviously sick and they fall in love and it's basically
But
The
he's
Fault in Our
gorgeous.
Stars.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
cliched
sorry.
and they tell you the whole story in the trailer.
Yes.
If you want to see this movie, watch the trailer. It will be less expensive. If you want to see this movie, also, fuck you.
Yeah, there's nothing unique about this story. People who will go to see this movie are people who like to like cry at romantic movies. There's
Yeah,
people
exactly.
who would go for this.
Mark loves crying.
Well, I would
there's a
sooner cry at P.S. I Love You, which was a good
I was
film.
going to say
Again.
PSI. It's one of the first things you ever told me about you, Mark, was that you cried incessantly through PS I Love You.
That's what he does, so people think he's very
That
soft.
was the first time that
No,
line
but the
didn't
next
get-
thing that
didn't
he
let me
said to
pick
me
up a
was
chick.
like, I can kill people 20 different ways. My name is Mark Leonard. I used to do MMA. So I learned two very contrasting things about Mark, the first
I'll say
conversation
that
we
thing.
had.
I'll say it again because Shona missed it. That was the first time that line didn't let me pick up the chick. It was weird.
He's still bitter about it.
So bitter.
The next one we looked at.
Thanks.
We never even got to discuss this movie.
No, we said enough.
Who's going to see it? What do you
We
think?
said enough. We said who's in it, and then we just
It's-
went, "You're going to see
it's-
it, and you're
I'm
going to
not
tell
going
us
to
about
see
it."
it. Is
Yeah.
Mark going to see it? The Marks of this world might see this.
I am going to
She just
recommend
wanted to
it
get
to
that in.
people that I know liked Fault in Our Stars. You're 100% right about that comparison. It's not for me though.
Okay.
It's too
Oh,
like
really?
The Intouchables, and I'll just be seeing that French
Yeah.
writing all over again.
Zut alors.
Sean, have you any desire to watch this movie?
I'm wondering, this might be a dangerous path. If I was physically disabled in some manner, would I want to see this movie? Or is it incredibly pandering and dumb? Or does it have like a positive message where it'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'm very attractive and in a wheelchair. This is, I will watch this. I'm trying to imagine an audience
Yeah.
for this movie.
Yeah,
Maybe it's people with a fetish for people who can't walk.
yeah. We shall contemplate that and move on.
Not touching that with a barge pole.
Not a chance.
Anyway.
Next one we looked at was Get a Job. And this stars our buddy Miles Teller and the absolute honey Anna Kendrick.
Is the subtitle "You Bum"?
Yeah. And Alison Brie is in it. And this is about early 20-somethings discovering life and
Yeah.
having to get jobs
Getting their
and
first job.
feeling under pressure.
Pretending to be
and,
grown-ups.
Yeah, Yeah, so that's what it's about, and that's the hilarity. Hilarious
Anna
circumstances where they do
Kendrick
and don't
crying to
get
her
them.
boyfriend, being like, I spent $247 on shoes and I didn't get the job. And he's like, you'll get it. Then it cuts to her being at his house, getting high with his roommates and playing video games. And
Living the dream, I think that's called.
Yeah.
I was actually interested in this one, Steve. This one struck a chord with me, not just the playing video games part. I think it might be a bit more interesting, and it seems like there's some genuine acting happening. So,
Anna
nobody's
Kendrick.
acting less attractive than they are,
And
which is important.
someday you too could play video games with Anna Kendrick. Could happen.
It's all
We
about
can but
accessibility,
dream.
this film, you know?
Yeah.
It's never
Is it
going
a
to happen.
comedy?
Yes.
Is it an actual out-and-out comedy, though?
It's trying
Because
to
it
be,
seems-
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, because they told us a lot of things that happen in this movie, in this trailer also.
They did.
Well, but it's not a first-person shooter.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Are we going to watch this? Do we
Yeah,
want
I
to
think
watch
so.
No.
Mark is?
I
Yeah.
I think I'll
would
throw it on the
watch
list
it.
if I'm on movies that week.
If it was on the list, I'd watch it. And, I don't know if it'll be as bad as we think it'll be. I think it'll definitely be better than the previous trailer we just reviewed.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
That setup, I'm on an airplane for an 8-hour flight, and this is on my menu of movies, and it's free to watch. I probably still would choose to watch something else, even if I've seen it before I watch this. So I probably wouldn't watch this.
Okay.
Unless you guys tell me I have to.
Well, you put it on
Then
the
I'm
so
gonna play the
you're the
bingo
one that's
card.
going to be watching it. Yeah. Okay, next one we looked at is a movie called High Rise, and the cast in this is interesting, actually. It's got Tom Hiddleston.
Can I say before you get into this movie that when I saw the trailer for this movie, it immediately became apparent why you choose the trailers that we review each week. Because you do much better at it than I do.
Thank you.
All
I think
right,
you're
as-
doing
Thank you,
yourself
Shona.
a disservice,
As you
Shona.
were, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you,
There's
Shona.
some kind of a backhanded compliment in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a,
I think you both do great jobs choosing
Aw,
trailers.
thanks, Mark.
Shona, I think we're brilliant. Just in general.
Let's just pat each other on it.
So, Tom Hiddleston, Jeremy Irons, Sienna Miller, Luke Evans, Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
So, this is about a group of people that live in a high-rise building. It's a sci-fi. Things go awry, and they're all very interesting, and it looks, I don't know.
Very conceptual. The
Yes.
idea being that the higher you live in this high rise, the more money and power you have. To the point where when you are on the top floor, you're living in this like weird, fucked up, like Elizabethan party
Yeah.
world. But people on the bottom are like living in the slums. It's like a microcosmic socioeconomic world.
Yes,
in
and
this
then
high-rise.
you even have the clash where people are like, I'm not paying the same damn fees as you are a year kind of thing. Why should we pay for what the people up in the top floors
Yeah.
are paying? And then is there a rebellion or something? I don't know what goes on.
It looks
Anyway.
like there's some kind of what's that called? A civil war within this
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
There's a horse on the 40th floor. What's up with that?
I hate to be a historical nerd, but that's exactly how Edinburgh worked. The rich people used to live on the 5th floor, and the poor people used to live on the 1st floor.
Oh, the opposite of New York. So fifth floor walk up.
Yeah. And the reason was because of the reason was because of the lack of sanitary facilities. So the people on the top floor would throw their pots
Oh, yeah.
out, and the people on the bottom floor would get it on the
So
top of
they
their
would
head.
rise above it.
That's right,
Is
yeah.
that it? Okay, I see.
That makes the pot being thrown down in this trailer more interesting.
There you go.
Indeed.
This looks really fucking trippy and cool, and I want to watch this movie. Everyone's also very attractive. That's not necessarily why I want to watch it, though.
But it helps.
It never hurts. Yeah, I want to watch it too. It looks
Yeah,
like a
me
really
too.
interesting premise.
Does.
I would
And-
watch the one about the people trying to get jobs and playing video games first, then this.
And Jeremy
I would
Irons
watch
is in it.
this. I would watch this first because I think it's going to be like Dread, but with no bullets.
First, I'd watch the trailer for Civil War Sean told us about.
Yeah,
the
I'm with
start.
you there. Yeah.
Then I would watch the film about... Then I'd watch Dread again because I really think I didn't get it because Mike liked it so much 3 years ago. Then I would watch the one about people getting jobs. And then I would watch this.
And what about Me Before You? Does that even come into it?
No.
Well, actually, tonight I'm going to be watching the 6 episodes of Fast and Loud I've missed.
Okay.
Right, that's where I'm starting, right?
Ooh. Also want to see Joey on Top Gear.
Oh, yeah. We'll have
I
the
hope
new
he
Top
brings
Gear season.
Chandler.
Oh yeah, I'll report back on the reunion. They're having a friends reunion, like properly.
Oh,
It's
that
gonna be
reminds
happening.
me. I meant to put this on our trailer list as well. The Fuller House trailer is out because of the Full House reunion that's being called Fuller House.
Full House?
Gilmore Girls is coming back.
No, wait, you're not jumping to the Gilmore Girls.
What's the Full House?
Full House is like a sitcom, an American sitcom that I was raised on. It is a basic ingredient of my foundation as a human being.
Where were your parents?
Working.
Drinking maple syrup, Steve.
Uncle Jesse,
And scoffing at
John
people that use
Stamos.
Okay.
He's famous from there. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. The
Yes.
Olsen twins. They're
not coming back,
They were
though.
from this.
All right.
Candace Cameron, Kirk Cameron's sister. She was in this.
Okay.
It was
Saget?
Bob
That was
Saget, of course.
all
Joey.
kinds of everybody.
Full House was like the beginning of the universe, man. It's
Oh.
it's the foundation of our life story.
All right.
Okay, so this
Let's
is a
pump
big
that
deal.
break.
It's such a big deal.
All right.
John Stamos hasn't aged at all. I follow him on Twitter.
I hope he's still not living in the basement or the attic or wherever he's living.
No, remember
He should have grown up by now.
by the final season, he and Rebecca were married, and they were living not in the basement, in the attic at that point, I think. So he.
Oh, so they
Still
moved up
weird.
towards the top of
He
the building.
moved up
That's
in the
that's a good.
world.
That's a good.
Explain
And-
this to me.
strategy.
And there's an episode where she's trying to tell him that she's pregnant. So she does a baby vegetable themed dinner for him.
What?
But he doesn't he doesn't get the hint. So then she decides to play Pictionary.
It wasn't very politically
And the
correct.
movie that she wants him to guess in Pictionary is she's having a baby. So what she drew was cheese and then half and then ink and then a baby. So if she's having a baby ever comes up in Pictionary, that's how you draw it. I learned so much from Full House.
Cheese half ink baby?
Cheese half ink baby.
Man, I so wouldn't have got that.
Was that the
Uncle Jesse didn't get it either.
was that the vegetable baby?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
This is
Anyways.
exactly like the billboards that they have out here for Deadpool, which is literally just a skull and then the poop emoji and an L.
Oh. So
That's a thing.
Like here's a really serious question for you, Shona. Does your husband know that you have a child yet?
I hope so. He's with her tonight.
Watching Full House.
It's just like how you would have told him that you're pregnant. It's like pretty fucking cryptic.
Do you know, actually, I was too much of a wuss to look at the pregnancy test, so I made him look. So it was more him telling me I was pregnant.
right.
Shona,
Yeah?
you're pregnant.
That's
Really?
how it works.
How the hell did that happen? So,
Also, happy
The o-
Valentine's Day, all of our listeners and everybody else.
Yay,
Oh, yeah.
Valentine's Day.
I'm
so
feeling really romantic this weekend.
are you?
Wouldn't want to be on that couch. Holy shit.
I'm the one
Check
sitting
what was in your
beside him,
tea,
Mark.
Good thing leather's easy wiped out.
Yeah.
So the
Got
Olsen
an
twins
extra box of hankies in there.
All right, let's
You don't
move
need
it
it,
away
Mike.
from
Mike's,
Mike.
heart-shaped ones.
Mike's bedroom looks like one of Dexter's kill rooms.
Yeah. All right, I want to hear what Steve's going to say.
No, I was just wondering about the Full
Yeah.
House, Mary Kate.
The Olsen twins.
Yeah, they played the same character.
Yeah, because they played a little girl named Michelle.
Yeah.
But because of child labor laws,
Michelle Tanner.
Exactly.
Oh, they could only
They-
do 20 hours a week instead of 40.
Yeah, so they
Oh, right,
they,
okay.
they hired twins so that they could get a full character filming out of her, but they weren't breaking child labor laws. So it was only ever one
Gilmore Girls is
character.
coming back.
Fine, Mark, we'll move on. Gilmore Girls, go.
Excuse me.
Come on, you have a fucking airways. Go
okay, come
ahead.
on.
What's your
Nobody
opinion?
cares that the Gilmore Girls is coming back. They care even less about that than they do about the Fuller House thing you just told us.
Poor
right.
Steve trying to wrap this show up for
Are
10
you
minutes.
are you excited about Rory and Lorelai gracing our screens again? I'll have
I
this
am actually.
conversation
I used to
with
watch
you.
the Full House as well. I was just winding you up there. We watched that a lot, in fact, in our also equally Full House.
Right.
So, yeah. I'm
Gilmore
looking forward
Girls,
to
you're
that coming back
excited.
too.
The thing with Gilmore Girls is that the script
I
in the
know.
show became so fake that it began to annoy me. It was like Dawson's Creek syndrome, you know?
I like Dawson's Creek.
No, when people sit down and they're like, well, hence forsooth shall I have this thought, my beguile, I don't know, they use a vocabulary, and they talk at a pace that no one talks like, except for me right now, apparently. But anyways,
Huh.
I'll be curious to see what's
I
going on.
approve of large vocabularies and the usage
Good.
of same.
Good.
Hence 2/4.
Yeah.
Let's just cut our losses, Steve.
No.
Just fucking sign us off,
just
Steve.
fucking- okay.
Put us out of our misery.
As you may have gathered, that's all we have for this week. So, yeah, we're all excited about seeing High Rise anyway. So, from Mike, Mark, Steve, Sean, and Shona, stay classy.